Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to Banter Blitz. What a unique idea on Chess24. Let's do Banter Blitz. But I have not done one in English for a while because I'm very busy working on becoming a German influencer so that finally I can tell people what sneakers to buy. I'm not there yet, but a man has got to have a dream. My name is Jan Gustafsson, and this is Banter Blitz. You can challenge me to a lovely chess game if you happen to be Chess24 Premium user. My username is Jan, Jan. It's very similar to my first name. So you can search me. Search for me. I haven't spoken English in a while. This is going to be rough. Challenge me. Do bad things to me. If you're not a premium member yet, you can become one. Using the voucher code Yanistan gets you 15% off. Let's see if we have any challenges. Is there anybody out there? Wow, Batman. Is that Dwight Howard? Fighting against the Joker? It's Batman 2017. So that's like the Ben Affleck era? Today, of course, I will focus on making this a serious chess show. None of the usual nonsense, but just, chess explained. Bishop to b4, the Nimzo Indian, pinning his knight, the most flexible move in the position and the move preferred by most tip-top grandmasters. e3, I shall castle, the most flexible move. He goes bishop d2, which has become a topical line in recent years. d5, knight to f3, and practice has shown us that b6 is the way to go in this position. He plays rook to c1. Usually they take here first, which makes me wonder why exactly. Could this be an idea? Bishop a6. If cd, I take on f1. b3. I shake my head. Wonder what my bishop is doing on a6. But b3 doesn't really fit with his other plans, so I still believe there could be some sense to this move. We'll find out what Batman does. Queen a4, also an option. He goes knight to e5. That knight looks active. I don't want it in my face, so I'll try to exchange it by going knight f to d7. And I hope it goes well. You would usually take the other knight, but after knight bd7 there is knight to c6, attacking both my queen and my bishop. And I did not want that to happen, as I'm sure you can understand. Mr. Dodgy Chess is saying boring. That's hurtful, Mr. Dodgy. I finally overcome my courage. See, I really need to take some English classes. Overcome my fears to do another show in the common tongue. For years I've been avoiding these because I thought I might get mocked for my accent, for my nationality, for my looks, for my playing strength. And then I dare to show up here. And the first thing you tell me is boring. Words can hurt. People have feelings. Nein, nicht for fear is wondering, what's your favorite kind of sausage, Jan? I'm not a big sausage guy. No pun intended, believe me. Let's think this through. I'm worse, by the way, which is upsetting me. Thüringer? This is becoming very German. Quickly. I don't like currywurst. I don't like Toulouse. I don't like Wiener. Saucisson. Saucisson is a good sausage. Those are the options. I'm slightly worse here after queen to g5, followed by takes on f6. I am not in giant trouble, I would think, if the queens come off. This pawn structure is not too big of a deal, but it's gonna be tough to win this. And of course, I'm in it to win it. However, I have studied the dark art of flaggery And I will not be afraid to use these powers if I'm being pushed to the limit by Batman. I still have doubts if this is a real Batman. Could be just, I don't know, Lego Batman. He's playing well though. He's playing unpleasantly well. Yeah, F4. Good job. You lose on time. No F4. Bad job. You lose on time. No draw for you. I choose to ruin my position instead. It was about time someone classed up the chess activities on Chess24 today. After Magnus barely won this match against Giri 5.5, 1.5, it is time that we get to see some real chess. Drama. Suspense. Swindles. Feelings being hurt. That's what chess is all about. Such a good game, Batman. You completely outplayed the Grandmaster, and if there was a little more time left, you could have won that game. Thanks for playing. Lightless is saying, just as I was going to compliment Jan on his English, the big sausage joke appears. So, now that I made that very idiomatic joke, you're not going to compliment me anymore? That just seems wrong and spiteful. Also, generally, I don't think you want to get complimented on your foreign language skills. You want people to think, it's natural speaking English. Let's play evidence. And then delete the evidence if the game does not go well for me. And by deleting the evidence, I mean both the PGN and the username if he's playing too well. No pressure evidence. I shall occupy the center with my pawns. He chooses not to choose center. He chooses something else. I don't think this early double fianchetto without a claim in the center is a strategy that should be copied. Black's position already looks fairly pleasant to me. Although, of course, with white, you can do all kinds of things and you won't be in any big trouble anytime soon. Now, Joachim Battery is saying, Jan, I'm ready to delete Evidence's user profile. Just say the word. We're not there yet. Just so you know, potential Banter Blitzes, that threat is always looming. Knight f3, can I take the pawn? Let's try. I'm so greedy. I'm not sure if this is the best way to go, but I smell some potential blunders for evidence. And I like that smell. Like knight takes e5, queen a5 check I was hoping for. He goes knight d2, which I guess is a better move and all that. But now I took a pawn. Do I just go back? No, I guess I should take. Now, try to stabilize. Keep my extra belonging. Like Scrat. Eagle Kid is saying, which chat is Jan looking at? YouTube. I'm currently reading the Chess24 chat and the Twitch chat. Rook d1. I'm in it to pin it. Trying to provoke c3 here. So he blocks his own bishop. I'm not sure how great a move that was, but I usually have doubts, crippling self-doubts after every move. Which might be because most of my moves are kind of crap. Anyway, I'm still up a pawn here. I am slowly but surely getting some of my pieces out. Bishop g4. Now I want to bring the knight. And then hope for the best. I could have taken on f3, but it feels like g4 should also weaken his position quite a bit, so I do not mind that development too much. Still trying to hang on to this pawn. So, what have you guys been up to? What's happening in the world out there? Any developments? I haven't been following the news. Is everything all right? What was today? Today was World Climate Day? I barely climbed out of bed today, which, yeah, is probably nothing to be proud of. Evidence is hanging in there. I'm so tempted to blunder a piece after queen e3 to play queen c5, but then rook takes d7 would possibly cost me a piece. Queen takes e3, rook takes d8. I can do that actually. Yay. Deep grandmasterly calculation. I can go here. If he takes, I can take here. I know. It's impressive. You ask yourself, how can a human mind process that information that quickly? And the answer that I have for you is, I would tell you, but I don't know. These powers, they're strange to me too. Give me more pawns, sir. Mr. Dodgy Chess is saying, oh sure, the climate is a real thing. Not surprised, Mr. Dodgy. Not surprised. Are you still a flat earther, Mr. Dodgy? Rook b2. Stop trying to take my things. I like my things. This is the greediest way possible, trying to hang on to that pawn, giving up the d-file. But it's a pawn. It pains me to give away my pawns. Rook exchange looks fairly hopeless for white. He should have tried rook d2 when clearly he's not in great shape either, but it would have been more resilient than this. Can I somehow take more pawns? Nah, let's take a small pawn break. Mr. Dodgy points out that the earth is not flat. It's kind of bumpy. Hard to argue with that. Patrick Moose is asking, Kam Sommerhaus der Stars today on TV? No, it's tomorrow. And spoiler alert, one line in tomorrow's Sommerhaus der Stars is, English is not the yellow of the egg for me. True story. Always play bishop f1, saying Korchner would be proud. Was he a big bishop f1er? Evidence is hanging in there, but he's running out of pawns. Lightless is saying, in the news today, climate going up in flames, COVID apparently more infectious, and I'm trying to improve my English. That was in the news? That you're trying to improve your English? Somehow I have a feeling that is false information. If only we had a term for news that happen to not be true. Someone should coin something. Like false news, maybe? Incorrect news? I don't know. It's not that catchy, incorrect news. And evidence resigns. Good game evidence. Cosmax is saying, hello Gustafsson, ich lerne gern Deutsch für Spiel mit dir. But this is an English show. You can speak English. Sad Qureshi is saying, Jan, have you read Lushin's Defense by Nabokov? Nah, I don't like chess books. I watched the Lolita movie. Does that count? Probably not. Anyway, let's play more games. Let's play Cosmex. Why not? Why not Cosmex? Pawn to d4. Evidence is saying, good game, Jan. Fun to being crush of my favorite chess commentator. Thank you so much. Biting on Granite is asking, Jan, how many languages do you speak? It's an amazing number. I can barely count that far ahead in my head, but 3. 1, 2, 3. English, German, Spanish. Cosmax is playing the King's Indian, which is a legal opening. But, as usual, I have a way to make it less fun by going d takes e5 instead of the normal d5. This is a line. I've played plenty. It has a little bit of sting. If black does not know what he's doing here. I've had many games with rook takes d1, then bishop to g4. Or bishop g4 directly, h6, I'm not sure about it, costs a pawn. And Cosmax will have to show me if he's got enough for that pawn. Because now I'm attacking this and this. You can't keep them both like Pokemons. Bishop g7 takes. And I'll just go back. Do I have time to play h3 or some stupid move to stop bishop g4? Nah, too subtle. I probably did have time. I'll do it now before he changes his mind. h3, another very meek move. But I am a pawn up. That's the good news. Always play bishop f1 is saying, is your Spanish better than your English? Nope, it's much worse. Comex is making a bunch of very sensible moves here. I guess I would have played a5 in his shoes to stop me from expanding. On the queen side, b5 looks very weakening. I have many tempting options. CBAB, rook c1 directly, c5. So many options, so little time. Diego Ubiera is asking, how did you learn Spanish? I had a very tough childhood. I was dropped off in a Spanish, actually in a Catalan elementary school without knowing any Spanish. And I was told, swim or sink. So I decided, I'm gonna have to learn Spanish. And I managed. I could even talk to my classmates after a while. I chose not to, but I could have. More pawns? Mr. Dodgy is saying, surely they said cinco or swimo. That is what they said. I didn't know you spoke Spanish, Mr. Dodgy. Cinco or swimo is actually the Spanish equivalent to the Cinco de Mayo festivities in Mexico. Oof, f3 is a really ugly move to make. I'm putting my pieces on ridiculous squares, which is not always a good strategy. I can probably get away with it here because of all these pawns I took. But generally, try not to put your pieces on ridiculous squares, is sound advice more often than not. Sorry, Cosmex. There were just too many pawns taken in the earlier carnage, so it is too late now to hope for a comeback. So we've covered current news, we've covered Magnus Carlsen's victory in the Banter Blitz. What else is there to talk about? I think that's it. Those were the news and the scripted talking points that I've been given for this Banter Blitz. So from here on, we're on our own, which usually does not go well, let's face it. He wants to take one of my pawns. Not sure I appreciate that all that much. Do not like it. You know what? I'll give you another pawn. But that is it. Those are all the pawns I'm willing to part with. Wow. From 3 pawns down to equal material within a couple moves is something that requires a very particular set of skills. I'll still win, because chess is very unfair. But I have a feeling that my conversion was not as smooth as it could have been. Knight f4, rook b3, king e4, rook b4. This is me trying to calculate and failing. So I'll just make a move. What was I trying to calculate? Something like this. Where did I fail? I anticipated this turn of events, and I was hoping that I'd still be winning. But I only have 1 pawn left, so it's close. Oh, after all this hard work, Cosmex finally gives me a rook. Sorry, Cosmex. Well played, sir. Zavich wants to know, what do you think of today's result of Magnus versus against Anish? I think Magnus won, maybe by a slightly bigger margin than you would have thought. But if things go his way, early on he took a 2-0 lead, then of course he can play freely with confidence. He's the best player in the world. So I can't say it was a giant surprise. The Suspenser01 says, how was your day, Jan? All right. I had a meeting in the morning. Then I did some boring stuff. Then I got some food. Then I picked up my daughter from kindergarten. Then I did commentary on the Carlsen Giri match, and here we are. Then I did the Banter Blitz. So I would say thus far an about average Friday. Lars A is saying, do you ever wonder if your opponent once again is Carlsen? Every game I am living in panic that my opponent once again is Carlsen. Rasputin 94. Where are you, Mr. Rasputin? The Suspenser01 says, what do you think of GM Feingold? I know very little actually about GM Feingold. I don't think we've ever met. I haven't seen many of his videos. I keep hearing that he's a funny man, but that's pretty much all the knowledge I have. So I can't give you a lot of insight. Banter Blitz is asking if Jan ever lost a game. I lose plenty. Even in Banter Blitzes, I lose, I don't know, on average once per show, I would say. Never gets old. The losing. Diego Ubiera is saying, is your daughter in a Catalan kindergarten? No, she's in a German kindergarten. Which must be very confusing too, since she's Norwegian. She was dropped off in a German kindergarten. But I told her, I understand. But as a kid, I had to go through the same. After, in the early years in Sparta, I was put to live in the woods alone. Later, I had to go to Catalan school. So you deal with that German kindergarten. That was our talk. Since she doesn't speak any German, I'm not sure if she got the message about toughening up at an early age, but I do hope that it resonated. What's going on here? Rasputin 94 making sound moves, knight c6. I should at some point try to play slightly less boring chess, but that point has not arrived yet. Lars A is saying it's not the first time Norwegians have been in German prisons. Yeah, you're doing great trying to make friends here, Lars A. What else do you have? Forget about it saying, yeah, I was thinking something similar. It's still funny though. Yeah, yeah, very funny. I should go rook fd1. e5, I guess bishop g5 is unpleasant for him. So maybe h6, but then I can do something like knight to e5. And I guess the position remains tricky for black, so maybe the best he can do is something like bishop to d7. When, I don't know, a3 looks a bit unpleasant for him maybe. Planning to go b4. In general, black is never fully equal in these positions because his bishop on c8 is just so much weaker than my bishop on f4. Hossein Bromskila saying you have to make some grøt for your daughter to make her stay healthy. Thanks for the tip. So far I've been relying on French fries, but you know, I always tell her, go easy on the mayonnaise. Like, one serving of mayonnaise tops. Of course, unlimited ketchup, but we all know ketchup is healthy. It's from tomatoes. But thanks for the grøt tip. I'll try that out. I'm obviously kidding. She gets a lot of burgers too. Cthulhu is pointing out it is a vegetable, as per the Reagan administration's initiative. Was that tomatoes or potatoes? Both. Hamzax Diane Sell is saying ketchup isn't healthy. If it was, it tastes as bad as potatoes. What? I'm going to have to rethink a lot of parenting. I've done that. Now I'm being told that tomatoes are fruits. You guys are a never-ending stream of knowledge. This is all shocking to me. So what should I give her to eat? Does she need to eat? I'm being told. Now I'm just making it absurd, right? Of course she needs to eat. But I'm being told that kids don't remember anything until they're like 5. So I feel until she turns 5, I can do pretty much whatever, right? It's not like she's gonna complain about the food because she won't be able to remember. I don't know. I shouldn't joke about these topics. Kids nutrition, that's the one topic. It's just off limits. Of course, everyone's eating very healthy. We had overnight oats in the morning. I'm not sure why overnight, but apparently you can make them in the evening and then eat them in the morning. I don't know why, but that's what we do. Mr. Dodgy is saying, I had overnight pizza for breakfast. Hang on, can I win somehow? I feel I deserve to win because of all the hard work I put in. Bishop h4, g5. Guess I'm not winning there yet. Knight f6, I remain putting pressure, but it's not a clear win yet. I'll continue playing as dryly as humanly possible. Queen f3. If he takes, I can even recapture with the pawn. This pawn will be hanging. Rook c7 will be on the agenda. It's going to be very, very tough for Mr. Rasputin 94 to hang in there. Cthulhu is saying, I remember most things since I was 3, even some things from when I was 2. Ugh. Okay, in that case, she's 4 now, the damage would have been done anyway. So it's really, at this point, it's a gamble if she remembers stuff from 4 to 5, which sounds unlikely, given Cthulhu's account, that he mainly remembers stuff from age 2 and 3. And Rasputin 94 resigns after my cunning tactic. Bishop takes f7, picking up a pawn he can't take because of rook takes c8. And I'm being told that queen f3 might have been the driest move in the position, which I accept. But I also, in my defense, I also think it's a pretty good move. Like usually if you have a lead in development, you exchange one defender, then the black position will collapse quite easily. It's not the only way, obviously. There are other tempting moves, queen h5, rook c7, you name it. But I think queen f dry, see, I've done a lot of German shows. Queen f dry is very dry and effective. Thanks for the game, Rasputin. Rah, rah. Rasputin. Let's play Priyanshu 1502. 02, is that my cell phone provider? Probably not. A lot of chess style shaming in the chat today. It hurts, you know? It hurts. Pawn to e4. And Priyanshu is wondering how to react to such unexpected aggression. Usually I prefer put a piece on a square where it's protected on the first move, like knight to f3, pawn to d4. I was gonna say pawn to c4, but technically it's not protected. But one e4, some people say it's not a bad move either. There's often this debate that all beginners should start with one e4 because it teaches you tactics, fighting for the center, all that stuff. I never really bought into that logic, mainly because I play one d4 all my life, and I have become the fearless attacking player that you can see in front of you. Also, I think it might be quite an advantage if you're not growing up playing the symmetrical Italian like all the other kids, but you gain early knowledge of whatever, the King's Indian, the Slav, the Nimzo, where I don't understand why the game is any less complicated than here or after e4, e5. So I have never fully bought into that logic, but I see it mentioned plenty. f3, isn't that what Wesley So did? Wesley knows his stuff. g6, oh, now we could we transpose the dragon? I guess we could. Fun. Is this what you wanted anyway? I could have played c4, ruining the dragon fun. But how often do I get to play a dragon from the white side of the board? Never. Is this how it goes? I guess I push. I don't really know what I'm doing here, which will not come as a surprise to anybody. But so far, you know, the pieces are out. The knight on h7 looks a bit passive. How bad can it be? Knight e5. He wants to go knight c4. Do I stop that by playing b3? Sometimes b3 is a good move in these positions. Sometimes you lose to knight takes f3. I believe this might be a case for the latter. So do I have a useful move? I guess not. I'll just go bishop e2 and then capture on c4. Play this type of nonsense and hope that one day his knight on h7 will be somewhat misplaced. Biting on Granite is asking, Jan, are you the cook in the family or is your wife? What is your favorite dish? Oof, that's a lot of questions. I can cook not for pleasure, but survival. Like I can make scrambled eggs, spaghetti bolognese, steak, fish. You know, I can put garlic and onions in a pan and then add other ingredients. And yeah, my wife can cook as well. I'm not sure who does more cooking. Probably her. But yeah, basically, we are able to survive. I, however, sometimes also rely on... They have this new invention where you go to a website, you click on the food you want, and they bring it to you. It's probably not healthy. It's probably too pricey. But the big plus it has is you can watch TV in the time you would normally prepare your food, and then also in the time you would normally spend going to the kitchen, getting a plate or something, because you can just eat it right off the form they bring you. So it has a lot of pluses, few minuses. Therefore, I feel overall it's a net positive. Forget about is asking what kind of trash food you like the best. And recently, I'm switching back to serious answers. I've really been into poke bowls. Poke bowls are good stuff. They don't seem too unhealthy for delivery food. So, you know, just random fresh stuff. You add some tuna. How bad can it be? At least that's my thinking. And I quite like them. So I'm not sure that counts. Other than that, if I want to treat myself, somehow the food I order often when I'm in a very unhealthy mood, or now I'll get into another debate with our Italian viewers, because we've had this debate before. I really enjoy spaghetti carbonara, and I have an Italian place that does great spaghetti carbonara and brings them to me, which is very nice. I still feel like I ate an entire cow and a bucket of tiramisu whenever I finish those spaghetti carbonara. So I try not to overdo it, but I do love them. Oshimo was saying, fish is mostly good as long as low mercury. Wow, who knew? Is that like Queen songs? Papa1234 is saying, how can we play against you? Challenge me. My username is Jan. And then I will, sort of randomly, as usual, giving preferences to dudes or dudettes that I've never played before. And we might play a lovely game of chess. Priyanshu resigns here after rook d5. Yeah, something went wrong. I'm not sure, as mentioned, I'm not a dragon expert. I would guess this position should favor me because now h7 needs a while to return back to the action, and I have all kinds of options to do stuff in the center. But yeah, after b5, b3, this exchange sacrifice looked a bit optimistic. He's not ruining my pawn structure, he's not getting a pawn for it. My pieces have good squares, so it just should not suffice. Thanks for the game. Let's play against Airknight. ChessFan993 is saying, Jan, when will there be more information about new Magnus Tour? I do not know, but from what I hear, it happens. And probably it will happen. And probably it will be announced. But I do not know details. d4 knight f6, pawn to c4. Let's fianchetto our bishop for once. It's time for my daily Grünfeld. I think instead of eating my daily green vegetables, if I play one daily Grünfeld, that should also count. It's a nutrition-heavy episode. What do we do here? What do the cool kids do? Is b6 still the cool move? Airknight seems to know what he's doing. He's making all these moves so quickly. It's a little intimidating, your speedy play, Mr. Airknight. Can't I take one of your Ponzis? You played so quickly, but maybe you underestimated my greed. It's just lost. Bishop g7. I can probably just pick up the queen with knight takes f3, followed by queen d2. Other moves are tough to make as well. Rook d1, I can take on c4. I don't know. I don't see a good move, Airknight. Ship it Hollaball is asking, has Jan done the hand thing yet? What's the hand thing? The Suspenser01 is saying, who was the most powerful opponent you have ever defeated? I don't have a long list of glorious victories. Maybe. I don't know. I won some games against people when they were still young. I feel that's the key. You gotta beat them when they're young. Caruana, Nakamura. Other than that. Airknight resigns here. Let's play Norman 02. Moxie Box is saying, will we also see a 24-hour Banter Blitz stream by Jan, like Hikaru is doing right now? In the past, when I was a young man, so much younger than today, we did these 72-hour Bantathons. I'm not sure there is any planned, because currently I'm still trying to get that video series on the 50 greatest not games, but players of all time out with Peter Heine Nielsen. Then Norway Chess is coming, and then I'll find other excuses not to do it, because those are long hours. So probably I'll make up excuses and be exhausted after doing 90 minutes of Banter Blitz every other month. That's my approach. Bishop to e7 here by Norman. Can't punish that by going pawn to e4. If d4, he would just play d5 and we have some normal queen's gambit. But e4 might ask some questions. If d5 now, I can take and play e5 or e5 directly. And after d6, d4, I get the center. Mr. Dodgy is saying 50 greatest games might be less controversial too. Yeah, for sure, but where's the fun in that? Also, that's been done, no? Like, I used to have a book as a kid. It was as a 25-year-old. The 50 greatest chess games or something. I think Batsford. No, Gambit? Was it Gambit? And don't you like a little controversy, Mr. Dodgy? Doesn't feel empty without? Batman 2017 is asking, who do you start with? Anderson. No, it's not in order of when they were active, but you know, in order of our random made-up criteria, who was greater. I already forgot who was 50, but we published them. Was it? I think it was Nimzovich for whatever reason. That was a tough start for me. Cthulhu is saying by Burgess and Nunn. Yeah, I think that's correct. Here, I guess I'm slightly better against Norman 02. Because I have somewhat more space. This bishop on b7 is not ideally placed for this structure. So it should be pleasant. But of course, we've only just begun. Queen c7. Let me ask where that queen is going. Tricks don't really do very much for me, so I should just try to keep pieces on the board, usually with the space advantage. You don't want to exchange pieces because the black position is sort of cramped and it would be helped by piece exchanges. Mr. Dodgy is saying, I already streamed this month. I missed it. Did you play Fall Guys and didn't tell me? You need to inform us, Mr. Dodgy. No clue what I'm doing here, but I panically looked at the clock and saw, oh, I only have 1 minute and 8 seconds left. I better make some moves. Is panically a word? Should be a word. Go away. Keep going away. Finally, I found a target. I can try to hunt that queen. Knight g7. That's what in the business we call a double whammy. Blunders this and a blunders rook a3. Rook a3, rook b8 I didn't want to think about. So I decided to take the piece instead. position is pretty good now because I have more pieces. But, of course, there's still that dangerous clock situation to take into account. So I better make a quick move. There was a bit of a gamble that he would go to that side, not the other. But paid off. Bobby G is saying, speaking of in the business, how's Trent? I recently saw a Twitter picture, a selfie I guess you call it, of Lawrence Trent, where he did not have any hair on his head. Which surprised me. I think, in general, he looked happy and healthy on that picture. So my assumption is he's doing great. He's now not only bold, but also bald. Let's keep going. I'm strangely tired. But it's Friday afternoon, so the weekend is about to begin. What are you guys doing on the weekend? Same as usual? Stay at home, watch TV? It's my plan. Here we're playing against ChrisGardocki. Who's ChrisGardocki again? That name sounds familiar, but I can't recall it. Let's Google. ChrisGardocki. That's a character from some movie, right? No, it's a football player. Huh. Who would have thought? What can I do? Let's check ChrisGardocki. It's not a great move, but when I was like 12, I felt this was a tremendous invention of mine. Knight c3, knight f6. And I'm putting pressure on that pawn. My reasoning was, if knight b3, I'll go queen c7 and then play normal Sicilian. I guess white can sort of ruin that plan by playing knight d5 here, and I won't make it to normal Sicilian. But I was still proud of my invention as a 12-year-old. I am very surprised. It never caught on. Ship it Hollaball is saying the usual sad alcohol consumption alone in the dark. If you want to talk, Ship it Hollaballers, if sometimes you feel it's all getting too much and you don't see the purpose anymore, then by all means, email support@chess24.com. Now I've achieved what I wanted. Well, I didn't want much to begin with, but this looks like a fairly standard Sicilian position. And I guess we're in for a tough, exciting fight. Okay. Not exactly what I wanted, but sometimes hard to dodge those. By the way, honest question. I've been doing a lot of English Banter Blitzes recently, and I feel my tone has gotten more toxic in the English shows. Is that true? Is that something I have to worry about? Like, I always try to be, whatever you want to call it, funny in my own head, and so on and so forth. But I feel recently it's coming from a darker place than usual in English, which is weird because in German, which I've been doing more shows, I'm much more cheerful. So I do think there's something to having different personalities in different languages. And I'm not sure it should worry me. Maybe I'm the same as always and it's just all in my head. Please, let's talk about me. Forget about it saying I haven't changed a bit. Okay, good. Or bad. Probably bad. But yeah, I'm not sure. Van Hila is saying, you have a very healthy German humor. Yeah, being shamed for my nationality never gets old. Maybe that's why I'm so cheerful in the German shows. Somehow there's less German shaming there. And Banter is saying a healthy amount of toxicity is always good. That sounds fair. Isn't that a System of a Down album? Toxicity? I used to listen to System of a Down when I was a young man, so much younger than today. Let's try to find some squares for my pieces somewhere. Should I go DE and bishop c5 here, or knight e5? Both look reasonable, but not impressive. Which is also how Banter Blitz has been described. Big Boy RG 2015 is asking, when you speak English, do you translate into German in your head at the same time? Nah. I'm not sure. That's not typically how one speaks languages, no? I don't think so. I can't even tell if I'm thinking in English or German when I speak English, but that's mainly due to my lack of thinking. Honestly though, no, I don't think I do, and I don't think people typically do, unless you're looking for a specific word, which rarely happens, because I already have all the best words. Hey, I want that pawn. You're not gonna give it to me? I want it. Gotta give it to me. One thing that my German and English shows have in common is people get very upset when I sing. Which is puzzling to me, since I still consider myself the songbird of my generation. But somehow, the world strongly disagrees. Strongly. And ChrisGardocki, after playing a good game, loses on time in my defense. Yeah, let's stop making up defenses for winning on time. This is show 10,030. Deal with it. Play faster. Big Boy RJ is saying, I speak Welsh as a second language and always think in English. Okay? I don't know. Maybe you can't think well in Welsh? Not sure. I'm trying to think something in German now, but no thoughts are entering my head. Actually, now I'm trying to monitor my thought process, but I can't picture a thought before I vocalize it, which I guess is both good and bad for chess commentary. Probably mainly bad. Yeah, this is complex. I'm sure someone smart has written smart stuff about such stuff, no? I recall when I was a kid, at some point after I had mastered Spanish, I was thinking in Spanish for a while, but then it went away. And I was back to my German thoughts. nkzs from France. Ça va? Parlez-vous le français? Qu'est-ce que tu voudrais jouer? C4? La partie anglaise? Ah, tu ne voudrais jouer pas? Pas de problème. Je peux aborder et jouer autre partie. Sorry. I always have to speak some French in the shows on the off chance that Laurent's watching, because I know it upsets him greatly. Let's play against Pangia 90. Mr. Dodgy is saying there must be some mental imagery when you speak French. Yeah, that's really just, I picture Laurent watching and think, Oh, he thinks it's so funny. It's really not funny at all. He's asshole. He never even has pain blanc in his house when I come there, and he thinks it's very funny to speak French. It's not funny. That's pretty much my mental imagery. Diego Ubiera is saying, clearly the Catalan kindergarten. There was a Catalan school. I skipped kindergarten. I was so gifted that at the age of 8, when I arrived in Catalonia, they said, you know what? Normally we would have you do 5 years of kindergarten, but as you seem a very talented child, you can join first grade at the age of 8. ChrisGardocki is saying his username was because of Step Brothers movie. I kept trying to figure out where I know ChrisGardocki from. And it must be Step Brothers, because I don't follow any football. Who is ChrisGardocki in Step Brothers? I just referenced the movie earlier, no? I call myself the songbird of my generation, just like Will Ferrell in Step Brothers. Who is ChrisGardocki? We need to know. It's the guy who beat both brothers. I can't recall. It's not the Adam Scott character, right? Is it the kid? ChrisGardocki, the bully kid? I think it's the bully kid. Sorry, this is important. We need to figure this out. It's the mean kid on the playground, right? ChrisGardocki? Serbian guy is asking, have you been to Serbia? Yeah. I'm bad with geography. I've been to Novi Sad. And where else have I been? We played the European Team Championship. Also must be 10, 12 years ago. Maybe 09. I think there was in Novi Sad. And I have a feeling I've been somewhere else. I do love the food. I must have stopped in Belgrade, but I don't think I ever played chess there, which usually is my only ways to get anywhere. Pange here, by the way. You played well, but after bishop g4, I was targeting this d4 pawn. So you should have probably captured on c5. Sorry, h3 is a good instinct, but now this pawn will turn out to be costly. And I should probably stop talking so much nonsense, because if not, my clock could turn out to be costly for me. Mr. Dodgy is saying it's a safe part of the world to be bad at geography. Yeah, that's why I always have to pause, because I didn't want to make a mistake where I've been and where I haven't been. I don't think I've been to Serbia that much other than Novi Sad, but I'm not 100% sure, honestly. Where have I been? I've been to Bosnia, Slovenia. Did I play in Croatia? I must have. I think once we had a European Club Championship in Montenegro, maybe? Is this checkmate? I'd like it to be checkmate. It doesn't feel too checkmatey, unfortunately. Nah, I should be my usual greedy self. Checkmate can wait as long as I get the bishop. Stegama saying, I notice that you look at chat more than to the chessboard. While speaking, are you thinking about the game in the background? No, it's just my screens. I have been talking for years about having to rectify the situation, that they're a bit awkwardly placed with the chat being here, the chessboard being all the way there, and the camera in the middle. So I should one day fix that. But for now, it's a lot of head movements. But the thing is, usually I have the position. No, it's not like I have it in my head or something, but usually I know more or less what was happening on the chessboard. While the chat, I have no idea what you wild bunch will say next. So I have to keep track of it. Have to. All right, let's speed up, Panguea. It's been fun, but at some point We got to get the job done. It had to be done so that we could have fun. Almost stalemate, but not quite. And rule of thumb, if it's almost stalemate but not quite, there's often a mate nearby. I think I missed mate in 1. Frankly, full disclosure, I thought rook g2 was mate in 1. Turns out it wasn't. And Pangia 90 lose on time, but fought very well. Thanks for the game. Schrodinger's cat is saying missed mate in 1. KQ. The thing is, there's no prizes usually for checkmating faster. And I was quite confident about my chances in that position. So sometimes you don't try as hard to find these tough mates in 1s. As you should. Mr. Dodgy is saying, who only has 2 screens? Honestly, I need 3 screens. Like for Banter Blitz is kind of okay. But earlier when I was doing this Carlsen Geary commentary, where I had 2 more elements, I had to cut out Carlsen from the Zoom call and Geary from the YouTube feed. Then I just can't fit everything on the 2 screens. So it's time for more and or bigger, higher resolution screens. Let's see if that upgrade will ever happen. Because usually, between me deciding it's time and me doing something, 5 solid years go by. Or in case of losing my virginity. Kidding. Not kidding. Let's find somebody else. Michael Albu is saying, play stronger player, Jan. Go premium, I'll play you. Right here, right now, next game. What was Pangia's rating? 1237, so I think I should honor Michael's wish and play someone stronger. The Sharky Horse. How are you today, sir? Plays e4, e5. Is it time? No, it's not time for the King's Gambit. It's never time for the King's Gambit. It's an easy rule of thumb to remember. Let's play the Rui Lopez. Steinitz played a lot of Rui Lopez. If it's good enough for Steinitz, who lived in poverty all his life and didn't seem very happy, but he was world champion. Is it good enough for me? Probably. I think the Rui Lopez is a pretty decent opening. The Rage Panda is saying, Jan, who's your least favorite Jan out there? I don't know. I think in the annual Jan meetings, we haven't outvoted a Jan for a long time. Like Jan Smeets was under fire for a while because of him turning his back on chess and also his chronicle time trouble. But in the end, he saved himself just, by being charming and Smeetsy. So we couldn't kick him out. Jan Timman is a legend. No one even dares to suggest we need to get Timman out of the club. Jan Krzysztof Duda, there's always some debate because of the Krzysztof part, but since he's so good at chess, we also keep him around. Jan Nepomniachtchi, pretty much same thing. He's spelled with an I, but we just argue. It's the same name. It's just, his name is in Russian and it's transcribed differently, but we still count him for Team Jan. So, no. Do I have enemies called Jan? Let me think. Let me go through my list of enemies. Hang on. I'll open the Excel. No Jan enemies. Alright, let's talk about the game against the Sharky Horse here. I thought I'd set a cunning trap with c3, hoping for dc3, queen d5, but he did not bite. I set another cunning trap, I thought, with e5, hoping he would take and I would somehow win a piece. But he once again did not bite, so I have to find a new cunning trap. Let's bring the knight out. Zevic is saying, what do I have to do to play with you? I sent a challenge 2 hours ago and I've been trying for several days. Thank you. I'm trying to play everybody, and usually I play the guys first that I've never played. We've played Zevic and I haven't played any of the other guys. So I can't guarantee I will play you on any particular show because of my sparkling personality. I have many challenges every time. But I still appreciate, of course, everyone stopping by. And I do think that we have a lot of Banter Blitz offerings these days, where I'm sure you'll get a chance. If you feel you haven't gotten a chance for a long time, or you challenged so early and still didn't get picked, then please direct your complaints to Mr. Dodgy, ideally on Twitter, @ChessProblem. We have a process that if he gets many strong complaints, he will pass them on to me, and then I will give those players priority. But apology if I can't play everybody on every show. Let's play. Ami Batral. Shibbollah Ballers is saying Chess24 needs to develop a Jan chess AI who matches his self-deprecating style of humor. I don't know. Isn't self-deprecation the most subtle form of arrogance? Is it that subtle? I don't know. I don't think it's that subtle. I don't want that AI. Big Boy RG is saying 2015, saying, lol, Dodgy now got a lot of reading. Dodgy is willing to do it because he will do anything to get followers. And I hope his DMs are closed. So you need to follow him. Does that work? No, then he would need to follow you back, right? Just follow him and DM him. Chess Problem on Twitter. He's very entertaining and witty. We are playing the, what is this called? The C3 Sicilian. Here, this is a line that I've traditionally struggled to understand. Like I usually play some moves and then I don't know what other moves to play. They usually play some moves too, some Queen E2 or Rook E1, some Pawn to A3. And I'm not sure what goes where. It's a very complicated position. Halston Bromsky is asking, who's the most famous Jan? Jan Garbarek. I have no idea who Jan Garbarek is. Was that some athlete? I don't know. He takes on D5 and now goes H3. I struggle with H3, as has been pointed out in many a review, but I'm working very hard with my vocal coach on H3. It's really tough, especially for a German. But we just can't have it happen. People always think that I said a tree, and there are no trees on the chessboard. Therefore, we are trying. We're trying. Me and Peter, my vocal coach, we're working very hard. We're trying to do one at a time. First the H and then the 3. And then we try to combine them. That's the part I'm struggling with. I can do a decent H. Just a letter. And I can do a decent 3. But then H3, oof, that's tough. Very, very tough. H3. See, I can't do it. I apologize. Please, don't deduct too many stars. For the ancient 3. The Suspenser 1 is saying, have you ever met GM Yasser Saravan? I have met GM Yasser. Knight f3, can I keep that pawn? I was more concerned about knight e4 going to d6. Knight f3 I feel might be misplaced. I'm not sure. If he wins that pawn instantly, then joke's on me. But for now, I did not like that move. Mr. Dodgy is saying, wait until you hear about H trees. No, those would be simpler, because that's my natural pronunciation anyway, H tree. It's the H and then the 3. It's a real tongue twister for me. Not gonna be able to do it. It's not my biggest pronunciation weakness. By far my biggest is the R in Spanish. I just can't do it at all. Which, yeah, makes it very awkward for me to speak any Spanish. Because it's a pretty R-heavy language. R, double R, triple R sometimes. And I just can't pronounce them. So that's an even bigger issue for me than the H3 situation. But they're both tough. I've watched the King's Speech a million times, hoping that if Colin Firth can do it, somehow, if he's the first, then I can be the second to fix my speech issues. But it has not worked yet. And at this point, I just rely on Peter. But I'm not sure he'll be able to fix it. Fix it for real. H3 auf Deutsch is a question. It's H3. Easy peasy. H3. H2, H3. Kann ich. G5, F4. And Ami Batrai resigns. Thanks for the game, Ami. Let us play somebody else. Is there anybody out there? Gentenu. Cthulhu is saying, we've become comfortably numb. In what sense, sir? Lobo Capablanca saying, hey Jan, remember first watching you back in 2015. Wow, those were the days, 2015. The world was still okay. We had not yet to deal with the horrible year that was 2016. And then some people argue, even 2020 has pros and cons. Like, I've heard some people say 2020, not a great year. Yeah, 2015, I was still a wide-eyed 36-year-old, naively looking at the world, asking what it has to offer for me, what my path would be. Full of hope, full of ideas, full of joy. Look what happened. I'm playing against Gentenu. He's playing some delayed Benoni, which has pros but also cons in that after ED now I can often recapture ED in these structures, which I believe is a good idea. I'm not sure with this exact piece placement, but usually this pawn structure does a pretty good job of cramping black while make it hard for him to gain any counterplay with b5. Eigentour is saying, look what happened, Sai. It's okay when I say it, Eigentour. It's very mean when you say it. The Suspenser01 is saying 2020 has had pros. Must have been some pros, no? Didn't anybody write a book or something? Balasharato is saying, I hear Benoni and now always a cat comes to my mind. Who has a cat called Benoni? Somehow I have that association too, but I can't quite. Figure out where it comes from. Ah, it's Lefon. Okay. Magnet's cat is called Benoni. Gotcha. Mr. Dodger is saying, I don't want to jinx it, but 2020 has been great for me. There you go. Have you left Sweden in 2020, Mr. Dodgy? F5 might have been a bit brazen, giving up that e5 square. By brazen, I mean terrible. So now I have given up the positional edge I used to have, and I will have to resort to swindling or flagging or a bit of both in order to win this game. That was really, really bad. H4. Let's try to make it worse by pretending that I'm alpha 0. I think he can just go G5. I was hoping H6 would do something good, but I do not think it does. This also looks fine for black, of course. But the good news is, or the good news for me, is that I will win on time. The bad news for me is that I do not manage to play one decent game of chess, even against kind of weak opposition for, no, I don't mean weak, but lower rated opposition. I really struggle, as you can see in this game, where I'm now a piece down for not very much, and I won't feel great when I eventually flag him. So I'm not sure if that should be cause for concern or just, you know, business as usual. Or bit of column A, bit of column B. Maybe it's all of the above. Okay, let's try not to get checkmated, because that would be tough. And F5 looks like I could get checkmated over there, which I would not enjoy. Nope. No free pawns for you, sir. Feels like eventually I will run into this typical problem when you have fewer pieces. That he will attack some of my stuff twice, and it will be very, very tough for me. Ugh, I trapped my knight. To counterattack twice. Now we need to play this very wisely, because I was expecting knight c4. Yeah, good game, Jan. Oh boy, I do feel sorry for both you that had to see this and for Gentenu, who played a great game. But it still counts. If you have any complaints, please direct them at ChessProblem at Twitter. What time is it? I feel I've been going on forever. And by that I mean, of course, time flies when you're playing Banter Blitz. I'll play one last, then I'll see if my door is still up. And then we'll all go about our Friday night business. Wow, Zevic has not given up hope. He's still here. These blitzes are 1e4. That's just impressive tenacity. Resiliency. I'm always surprised, English speakers out there, isn't the word resilience? Because I often hear resiliency. It always sounds wrong, but then I hear it again, and then at some point I think to myself, all these native speakers, they probably know what they're doing. So is resiliency or resilience the word? Are those two different things? Please let me know. Big Boy Archie is saying resilience. That much I also thought. But what's the deal with resiliency? Because I really hear it a lot, even from people that do speak the common tongue. They are resilient, they have resiliency. So resilience is just not a word, or it means something else? Because they show resilience can't be too wrong, right? Both acceptable, right? So they mean the same thing, yeah? Mr. Dodgy is saying maybe resiliency isn't a word. That's what I was suspecting, but as mentioned, I hear it a lot. Cthulhu is saying I don't usually hear resiliency. I hear it plenty. It always sounds wrong, but then I hear it again. So I'm confused. Banter Blitz is saying both the same. Is it a US-UK thing? Alash Arato is saying, hi Mr. Dodgy, since when are you a mod? Since 2016? Knight c3, what is this position? I should be in good shape because the pawn on h4 looks a bit out of place. But I'm not sure what to do. Bishop g4 could be a move, or just something normal like knight e7 or cd, dc. So many options. So little time. I want to go knight e7. I don't know what I want to do after dc yet, but we'll figure it out. Balasharato is saying, raised by wolves, Jan. No, I was raised by people. I heard that's a good something, probably a TV show. Then I looked it up and somehow I wasn't that intrigued by the premise, which I've forgotten by now. In general, I don't like wolves content. I did not watch Dances with Wolves, the Kevin Costner Oscar-winning movie. I do not like it when in Jungle Book the wolves are depicted as the good guys. I don't enjoy it. I did never trust Akela, and I never will. Like Kaa I'm okay with. Akela, I do not trust you, no matter what you tell Mowgli. So in general, if there's wolves in the title, I'm out. Wolf of Wall Street, eh. Balsharato is saying Ridley Scott, sci-fi, it's very good. Oh yeah, I had that debate with Svidler, I think, where I was saying I don't like sci-fi and isn't Ridley Scott 83 years old, and then he said, but Ridley Scott did Gladiator, and then I said, but there were no wolves in Gladiator, and I'm not sure where that discussion went from there. It was a good talk. I shouldn't try to make one sensible move here. Zevic has been waiting for so long for that game. He deserves one good move. And I'm not sure that was the one. You know what? Where I draw the line? I'm okay with Wolverine movies. Especially Logan, of course, a fantastic movie. But in general, even if it's real Wolverines, if it's a documentary, I'll watch it. If it's X-Men featuring Wolverine, I'm okay with that too. Just wolves? Eh. Give me that horsey. Cthulhu is saying he loved the part where he was moonlighting as a limo driver. That's how the movie starts, no? Logan is an excellent movie. I'm not even kidding. I usually am hating on most of the superhero movies, even though I've obviously seen all of them. But Logan is just a very good movie. It's more like a Western. Give me more pieces. Rockerman Murphy saying, are actual Wolverines extremely rare or just neglected? I don't think they get any respect. That's why they're so aggressive. Some of my favorite animals, Wolverines and honey badgers, they're both so aggressive. Zevic is saying, thanks for the game. Thank you, Zevic. He's thanking me for the game, but then he continues. That's a cunning tactic. Now he resigns. All right. Boom. Another rating point. Feels good, doesn't it? No. And thank you guys for watching. I'd like to apologize. I feel like tonally this show has become a little too mean-spirited, which is not my intention. So please always remember, it's not me, it's you. Thanks so much for watching. Enjoy the Banter Blitz. Fun continuing with World number 2, Fabiano Caruana taking on Lei Kwang Lim in yet another quarterfinal of the Banter series. Then, if you have some free time over the weekend, check out however many videos we've published on our top 50 list of the 50 greatest players of all time. And if you disagree with the ranking at some point, then you have two options. You can complain either to Mr. Docci at Chess Problem or to Peter Heine. From Peter Heine, you will probably get an answer because he's much more down to earth than Mr. Docci, and he actually enjoys debating these things. PH Chess on Twitter, I believe, is his username. So there's that. Then all the other stuff. Go premium on Chess24. Check it out to watch that video series, which you can also purchase individually. I don't know. Follow the Twitch channel, the YouTube channel. Don't feed your kids too many French fries with ketchup, because as we've learned earlier in the show, that might not be ideal if it's the only meal they get. I believe those were today's learnings. I would like to thank everyone for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye. See, my mouth is smiling, my eyes are not.